In the 19th century, the British Empire was the most powerful force on Earth. It controlled trade routes, ruled over colonies, and reshaped economies across continents. But one of its most profitable and devastating ventures was the opium trade in China. It was a story of greed, imperialism, addiction, and resistance, and its impact still echoes through modern China. Today, we uncover the true story of how Britain pushed drugs into China and sparked a series of wars that would change the fate of a nation. At the heart of this story is tea. By the late 1700s, Britain had developed a serious taste for Chinese tea, especially among the upper class. The British East India Company was importing millions of pounds of tea from China each year. But there was a problem. China didn't want anything Britain had to sell. The Chinese economy was largely self-sufficient. They demanded silver as payment, which was draining Britain's reserves fast. It was an unsustainable trade imbalance, and the British needed a solution. That solution came in the form of a highly addictive drug, opium. Grown in large quantities in British-controlled India, opium was smuggled into China in increasing amounts. Although opium had been used medicinally in China, British traders helped create a full-blown addiction crisis, turning millions of Chinese into users. By the early 1800s, opium sales reversed the trade deficit. Silver began flowing out of China, and British profits soared. But the Chinese government saw what was happening and decided to fight back. In 1839, the Daoguang Emperor sent a high-ranking official, Lin Zexu, to crack down on the opium trade. Lin seized and destroyed over 1,000 tons of British opium in the city of Canton, modern-day Guangzhou. Britain's response? War. Claiming the destruction of their opium as an insult and a violation of trade rights, Britain sent gunboats to China, launching the First Opium War. China, with outdated weapons and military tactics, was quickly overwhelmed. In 1842, they were forced to sign the Treaty of Nanking, a humiliating agreement that ceded Hong Kong to Britain and opened multiple Chinese ports to foreign trade. A decade later, tensions flared again. Britain, now joined by France, accused China of not honoring the previous treaty and launched the Second Opium War in 1856. Once again, Western forces crushed Chinese resistance. They even looted and burned the Summer Palace in Beijing, one of China's cultural treasures. By the end of the war, new treaties gave foreign powers even more control, including legal immunity for British citizens in China and the right to freely spread Christianity. The once mighty Qing dynasty was left humiliated. The term century of humiliation, used often in modern Chinese politics, traces back to these moments. At the peak of the opium trade, it's estimated that 10% of China's population was addicted to the drug. Families were destroyed, productivity collapsed, local economies suffered, and the imperial government lost legitimacy in the eyes of its people. Britain, meanwhile, justified its actions by claiming it was defending free trade. But at its core, the opium trade was a system of state-sponsored drug dealing, backed by warships and profit margins. The Opium Wars were more than just conflicts over trade. They were clashes between two worldviews, one rooted in imperial dominance and economic exploitation, the other in sovereignty and tradition. Today, China remembers the Opium Wars as a national trauma, a symbol of Western imperialism and the need for national strength. For Britain, it's a darker chapter often overlooked, a time when profit came before principle. The British Empire's opium trade in China wasn't just about tea, silver, or commerce. It was about power, the power to shape another nation's destiny through force and addiction. By understanding this history, we can better see the roots of modern global tensions, the long shadows of empire, and the cost of putting profit above people. If you found this story compelling, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps more people discover these hidden chapters of history, and it helps me keep bringing you more content just like this. Thanks for watching.